Hey, hello again. Hey, welcome back. Pat here with Making RV Memories. Today we're going to make some memories talking RV talk. You know, that RV slang. Some of those words you hear that you don't quite understand what it means. You know, RV'ers have their own language just like anybody else. So you ever sat around hearing somebody saying it, oops, my Stinky Slinky fell out and I run over it and went through my Hula Skirt, and well, they're really meaning something. It's just not talk. It's RV language. Today we're going to look at some of those strange words, and maybe you'll learn a few of them. So next time you sit around the old campfire with everybody, you can throw a few of them out there and it sounds like, woo, you're one of the gang. Okay, hang around. We're going to learn some of that today. Be right back. Hey, welcome back. Yeah, today we're going to do some RV slang. That's those words that all those experienced RV'ers have learned, and sometimes you'll hear one and you'll think, what did he just say? What did that mean? Well, we're going to go over it today and we'll see if we can teach you some of that RV slang. Here we go with number one. And we'll start with the Stinky Slinky. You remember the Slinky when you were kids? The little Slinky that was sort of wobbly and it would go down the stairs and sort of loose and shaky. But that's how they designed the first sewer hoses for the campers. Sort of be that same sort of floppy, move around, hard to fold up, slinky style hose. This one you can sort of see it just looks like a snake, but it's a slinky style, and it's sort of got the nickname because you know what goes through there. It's not Avon. It is the Stinky Slinky, they call it. A lot of people find a place to store it because the Slinky was so cumbersome. They put them in bags and tubs and every which way trying to store them. The newer ones are a little easier to store nowadays. And will bring us to the Honey Wagon. There's nothing to do with honeys or bees or anything to do with breakfast. The Honey Wagon, you see the truck here? This is a truck that if you're going to a campground without any sewer connections, and a lot of times if you're boondocking somewhere, we find that a lot of times on the speedway campgrounds there's nothing there but a piece of dirt, so your tank eventually will fill up. They'll have a truck come around and actually pump out your sewer tank, and they call that baby a Honey Wagon. Honey Wagon. The Teardrop. Now you see the shape of that. It's just sort of shaped like a teardrop. Not a lot of room inside. They're basically just made for sleeping. Maybe a little bit of a kitchen in it, but probably not much. Just more of a small camper. A lot of people like just the small ones because it is just a provision for you to catch a little shut-eye if you're traveling. Boy, this one you can see that's not a whole lot of room in that one just for sleeping. So you can pretty much figure they're going to prepare most of their meals on the outside, and they'll usually camp where there's provisions where they can shower and use the bathroom at a campground somewhere. But they're pretty popular, and they call them the Teardrop. Shore power. Somebody says you hooked up to shore power? Well, shore power is the electricity you get from the campground, and that's the pole you see there, and that's why it's nicknamed the shore power. There's two other types. You can get power from your generator, or the Jenny they call it. You can have generator power, or you can have 12-volt power. This one here you see is mine. I use a surge protector on mine, so when I hook up to the shore power, my actual shore cord that comes from the camper will plug into my surge protector there to protect me from any kind of power surges that may come through the campground's electrical system. That'll protect the inside of my camper there too. Chocks, wheel chocks. These are just the little cheap plastic ones that I've used for years. I don't care for them. I wish I had the harder rubber ones, but these have apparently done me a pretty good job. Wheel chocks go into the wheels. These are what they call the X chocks. Somebody asked you about an X chock? There's the X chocks. I've got one on each side. That'll clamp the wheels together. It helps stabilize the camper, and it will lock it in position too. So we use the X chocks every time we park the camper. The Hula Skirt. Hey, doesn't mean he's got a wardrobe of them hanging in his closet there in the camper. On a lot of the older campers, they came with what we call a Hula Skirt. That's the skirting that hangs down and sort of blocks some of the debris and some of the water coming off the rear wheels of the older campers. Just sort of like a brush, but it sort of got called the Hula Skirt. So when somebody tells you they saw a camper with a Hula Skirt, now you know what they're talking about. Now the newer ones have this here. It's sort of like a giant mud flap that'll go side to side on the motorhome, and it'll block any kind of rocks or debris that'll come off the wheels. It'll protect the car that they're towing behind them, or most cars following them down the interstate. That mud flap will help deter any of the debris from the wheels. Wally Docking. I know you've heard somebody say about Wally Docking. Ever pulled into a Walmart and you'll see the campers parked around the edge of the parking lot? Those are guys and gals just traveling to their next destination. Maybe they got tired and just need a little bit of rest. Hopefully they called the manager before they did, but they can pull into a Walmart and set up and just get a night's sleep. They call that Wally Docking. Sort of like mooch docking, if you've ever heard that. That's when you pull into a friend or a family member's driveway and you sort of mooch off their driveway, and you'll stay there. Boondocking, you'll probably also hear. That means you're camping out in the wilderness somewhere with no hookups. Everything is self-contained in your camper. So if you're boondocking, you're camping out and you've got your freshwater tank, your 12-volt batteries, you got a water pump, so you're self-contained, you're boondocking, or you're mooch docking, but this is what they call Wally Docking in the Walmart parking lot. Have you ever heard anybody mention a schoolie? Those are the gals and guys that are buying the older school buses. They'll take out all the seats, remove some of the windows, and they'll turn the inside of it into a really nice camper. I've seen some really nice schoolies that have everything a regular factory camper would have, so they're pretty nice. Somebody mentions a schoolie, now you pretty much know it's an old school bus they turned into a camper. Pretty nice. And if you've ever heard anybody heard about a toad is not a frog. A toad is the vehicle that's towed behind, usually a motorhome. If they've got a toad, that means they've got a car behind them. You'll see the dolly here. This is just a car dolly that they'll pull their toad on. Some of them will actually flat tow them with all the wheels on the ground, like here. And that's the toad right behind the motorhome there. They'll pull them with what they call all four wheels down. Mine, when I had my motorhome, we had what we called a tandem toter. And there's the car, and we had the golf cart, and that's a tandem toter. Well, that was the top 10 RV slang words that I'd picked out for you. Now I got a bunch of bonus words for you, and there'll be a pop quiz when we're done, so take notes. Here's your bonus words. These are some extra RV slang words that you'll hear a lot about. A little bit of bonus here. Like I say, pay attention. Going to be a pop quiz. Now, when you hear the term rig, somebody say, well, hey, what kind of rig you got? Well, they're just referring to the truck and the trailer that you've got, or maybe if it's just a motorhome, they'll consider that either a coach. Some people call them a coach or a rig, but your rig is setting wherever you're at. Maybe you've just got like ours. Here's ours, our current rig, our dually with our fifth wheel. So somebody says, a nice rig, and they're just referring to the truck and the trailer that you're pulling with. Sort of makes you sound big time. We own a rig. That's what you've got there. A diesel pusher. I know you've heard that term. Diesel pusher. That means the engine's in the rear of the motorhome. You see the slats, the grill in the back of that motorhome there. There's an engine back there, and it's in the rear of the motorhome, and it pushes the motorhome. So they call them diesel pushers. It pushes from the rear. This is a Super C that you'll see the engine's in the front, just like a more normal truck. Sometimes you'll hear people say it's a diesel puller, but you don't hear that term very often. Just diesel pusher is the most common term, and that just means they got a camper motorhome with the engine in the rear. Black tank and gray tank. Somebody says, how's your black tank doing? Is it you emptied your black tank? How about your gray tanks? That's the two tanks you've got on your camper. You can see here's the knobs to mine. The galley tank, that means you pull that gray knob there, and that empties all the water in your kitchen sink. The bath is your galley where your shower water is, and of course the black tank, that's your sewer. So you'll pull that handle to empty all of that. Tandem Toe. Tandem Toe means you're pulling more than one item, and I would never want to do this. You see there in the picture, he's actually pulling a fifth wheel, and then he's got a trailer hooked to the fifth wheel. And Lord knows what he's going to ever do if he needs to stop and back up. And actually in several states in the country, that's actually legal to do. They call it tandem towing. And this cat here, he's pulling a car, and it looks like he's got a sidewinder on the back of the trailer. And yep, it's going to be nice and fun when he gets there, if he can make all the sharp turns. And I sure hope I'm not around him when he needs to have to back that rig up. But if you ever hear somebody say a tandem tower, Now you'll know he's pulling 2 items behind his rig. Batman, hey, if you ever heard Batwing, you got a Batwing. It's not referring to Batman and Robin. The Batwing is your antenna on some of the older travel trailers. The Batwing, and it is adjustable. You raise it and lower it, and if you ever see anybody going down the road with that Batwing sticking up, you'll pretty much know they forgot to lower the antenna for their TV. You can turn it from inside, and you can raise and lower it. The newer ones are just a little round non-directional antenna, but the older ones, they've got what we call the Batwing. Okay, that was a lot of fun. You know, I got my own language since I'm from the mountains, and everybody said Pat's got his own slang, and you'll probably pick up on some of my slang as we go through some of our videos. But the RV slang is out there, so now maybe you know some of the words, and if you're sitting around with some of the old timers and you throw a few of those slang words out, they might be impressed that you sort of know what you're talking about now. So I said it'd be a pop quiz. Let's get started with that. First one, if I ask you what the slang term is for the hose that you dump your sewage through from the camper down to the campground, what would you say? That's right, the old Stinky Slinky. And it is sometimes. The other one, you know, the big truck comes around. If the campground that you're staying on doesn't have all the sewer hookups, a lot of times they'll provide a truck that comes around to suck out your sewer tank. Or if you got a septic tank at home, maybe you gotta have it pumped occasionally, and that's the same truck that'll come there to do that. We got a slang term for what's in that truck. Did you remember what it was? It didn't have anything to do with bees or anything to do with breakfast. It had something to do with honey, and they call it the Honey Wagon. Just a slang term, because you know what's in that truck's not honey. Okay, hey, we finished up. Hope you enjoyed the slang terms. Hope you're enjoying the channel so far. Again, my name's Pat. We're with Making RV Memories. Leave me a comment below and tell me what you think so far. Maybe you thought of a couple of slang words that I didn't throw in. Tell me all about them down there. Click on that like button. That really helps me too. But mainly subscribe so you can follow our journey as we go along. Again, me and my wife Glenna, we are Making RV Memories. My name's Pat, and God bless you.